Najmo, thank you so much for joining me today. It is such an honor and a pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here with you as well. Thank you.
My pleasure. And I mean, I already showed you this. I have this paper of you
Yeah.
that I've had for almost that I've had for almost a year. And I just it was so funny when I, ended up remembering that I had this and we ended up being able to schedule this because when I read even just the title, I was like, oh, like I was just taken aback, because just in terms of life, I think many people, especially there's many people on here who are maybe from the U.S. or North America, and they're maybe not as familiar with what might go on in other cultures. It can be difficult to think about being, wedded to someone as a child or female genitalia mutilation, like these types of really traumatic, intense things. And, you've experienced a lot of this. And so it would be, if whatever it is you want to talk about regarding these experiences, if you could, take us back because now you're Icelandic and you're growing up in this place and you're Somali as well. Like you have these, cultures that are combining, right, to make you who you are today. But it would be, helpful to maybe understand when you were in Somalia growing up, what was that experience like for you as a child?
Actually, it was, in back in my life. If I, look back, I divide my life into two parts because first I have a very happy childhood, because even though Somalia was a war since 1991, but I had always a parents who take care for us, and my father especially, who was like a man who always worked for his community and was very much engaged a lot of things back home. So when he was alive, my life was completely different compared to
Mm.
Uh,
Yeah.
um, I would say like from year 1 to year 11, I was just living normal life as every child. I used to go to school. I was just coming home with my parents and just happy playing out. But that completely changed after my dad died. He was killed
Wow.
in Somalia 2009. After that,
Wow.
Somalia, the culture and everything. When the parents die, when the father die, and the kids are still little. My uncle has to take over responsibility over us, and there's where starts my hardest part of life.
Yeah.
Marriage at the age of just 11, and so it was just I would say if I divide two parts, before my dad was alive was completely fine, but after that is where I really have to start fighting for my rights and to against
Yeah.
a lot of things that people just normalized because it's part of the culture and they don't see that they are causing you harm or pain. Uh,
Right.
so it took me a lot, but I finally overcame.
Okay. And as a kid, meaning like when you found out that you were supposed to be marrying, I think it was your cousin who was like 32 years old or something of that nature, right? Like it was just,
Yeah, he was my cousin. He was 32 years old and I was just 11 at the time. And if you look back home, that's just, it's not something like shocking for people.
yeah.
I remember my other cousins, they were telling me their stories that how they were being forced to marriage, and they just,
Yeah.
this is just normal. I would get used to it. I just need
Wow.
in the first they were refused also, but finally they accepted. So they were like, you will get used to it. And
Mm.
I just never seen being used to it, and everything, all that happens, it's not something that started from me, and it's not something that definitely ending by me. It's still
Right.
happening. It happened to my sister in 2017 as well.
Wow.
We have to at some point we have to say no and to against with it. It's just a culture that people learned over decades, and if we against, it's not going to end anytime soon, but we can fight for it till it ends.
Yeah. And the practice of female genitalia mutilation, like this is something that, of course, like when you were younger, this was going on, right? And this is happening to young girls, basically coming of age, right? It's if you're going to, go through puberty, in essence, many of the women or young girls go through this in Somalia. And was that something that like people ever talked about with you, or was you just like, this is a decision that's been made for you, and that's it? Like it's not a I'm explaining to you what's going to happen type of situation.
I was practicing FGM as well, but it was like very early age, so I can't remember exactly the
Okay.
went through. But I remember it like female genital mutilation came to my attention when I was having my first period, when I was having the first sex. All that is when you start you're struggling with,
Yeah.
and when it came to that point, I was like, oh, why was it? Why it happened to me this and. It's like, and then when you explore, it's like Somalia is the highest country in the world. Actually, 98% of Somali girls are being practiced with FGM.
Wow.
So yeah, it's actually it's something that people normalized as well, and this is part of the culture, which is really bad. But now a lot of Somali activism we're fighting for it, and there's a lot of awareness that people are doing it. So it's kind of reducing, but not as much or as fast as we would like to. But it's
Yeah.
getting actually. It was practiced mostly like type. 3. I think the one that is really very bad is type 3, if I can remember correctly. But
Okay.
people are moving to type 2 and type 3. And recently people are now just being aware with like this has nothing to do with religion. For so long people
Mm.
part of the religion and they should do it. And the other reason that people do is just to control women's sexuality. Once being cut the cliff and everything, you control the woman's sexuality, and you don't
Right.
your daughter to feel like she is a man or something. So it's just there is this code people use most of the time, which is like if you don't cut your daughter and you don't practice with the FGM, she might become a whore, which has
Yeah.
nothing to, so it's just
No.
being controlling women's sexuality, actually.
Yeah. Which is so sad to know that like this is something that people have fed into, right? Meaning like, and then of course continued it on as if it's a tradition that is worth keeping, which is not, and it's just very hurtful. So
Yeah.
okay, but there's a series of events in your life that happened, right? So meaning like from when your father died, and my condolences to you and your family for having to go through that. It's very hard to lose a parent. But there's a series of things that happened. So you were, at age 11 to be marrying your cousin, but things start to change at some point, right? Like you start to fully to go. Like, can you kind of walk me through this story of like what happened and how you eventually got to Iceland?
Um, Actually, now even when I look back in my life, I just think like maybe I didn't go through all that. It's just I'm not even in
It's
Iceland.
like a movie, to be fair, like how intense
Actually,
it is.
yeah, it's just like things that you kind of think like no, you can't go through this, and just
Yeah,
you just pushed yourself. And that's the power actually, when you don't want something and you know from your heart that you don't want. If you just tell that if you just do whatever you can, it will you will reach at some point somewhere if you just
yeah,
don't accept the situation, right? So for me, I didn't have any money to run out. I didn't have like so much support from the family side, but yet I just followed what my heart was telling me, which is like
yeah,
I don't want to be a wife with a man who's older than me that much. And just to be a wife at the age of 11 is really um not easy at that age. You just want to live like normal childhood, go to
yeah.
school and play with the kids, and it's just that's kind of things you want to do. And then suddenly you are a wife and you have to behave like like a woman and take care of family, and then later might have children. That's not that's not something that I wanted for my life. So I just keep pushed myself. I
Yeah.
was like, I didn't know where I was going, but I knew that I was just escaping the situation that I did not want. So
Right.
I just pushed myself, and then here I am. It was a long journey. It wasn't easy, but it finally got me to where I can be the woman that I want to be, that no one has to make choices for me.
Right.
So I've been to Sudan, I've been to Libya, I've been to Sahara, all the
Wow.
Mediterranean Sea, where I finally ended up in Iceland.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a easy journey, but it just got to me where I am today.
Yeah. And you were basically like there were some people helping you. Like you had like a cousin that helped, like meaning there like if you're the majority of your family was kind of campaigning for this marriage, right? And then there was like then you had some other maybe not as many, but some other family members who were like, no, I think we're gonna help her out and get her out of this situation.
My aunties actually helped me. I met this.
Oh, good.
My aunties helped me. My older brother as well. Like they see like the pain I was going through, and all the time I was just crying. Even though I used to cry a lot when I was. I don't know. Cries gives me like strong. Keep mushing myself. When I cry, I feel better anyway.
Yeah.
So I used to cry always, and I always used to bring back about my dad. I always used to, if my dad were alive, it will not happen. And this was my aunties always like hurted them so much. They were like, she's reminding us her father every single day. We have to help this guy. And I met actually one girl who is not my auntie, but my cousin, his daughter, who's like older cousin. I have 500 cousins anyway.
Okay.
Who, like, when my auntie was collecting me the money, she also sold her gold earrings for me, and then sold it, and then put the money they were collecting for me. She just told me actually when I met her in London. And she was like, no, look at you. I remember when you were in the hospital, what we did for you. Your aunts were collecting your money for you. And I sold my earrings. I was like, I'm so thankful for that.
Yeah.
But it's like, so it's just when you and me right now talking that, it might be shocking. But when you are in the country, you see things that are more worsen than that. You cannot see 12 years old carrying a baby and living with 70 years old. It was recently actually a man who's member of the Somali parliament who was just married 13 years old. And there was like this law they were trying to pass this year, which was like allowing child marriage in Somalia. They were just doing that. So the bill was just to like legalize child marriage in Somalia, and it's just like those who are member of the parliament are doing that. What to do the rest of the society, because they are the lawmaker of the country and they're allowing that. So it's just the normalized. There's a lot of things we need to do back home, but it's not gonna happen overnight.
No, culture shift takes a very long time, and with people like you, which we'll get into, really raising awareness about it is helping. I think especially the generations coming up who feel like following their instincts and following their feelings, because I'm sure there were women before you who felt that way, but maybe they felt powerless on being able to do something. But you found a way. You found, like, with help, of course, support, but still, just the fact that you had it inside of you speaks a lot to the fact that you were just like, I'm not going to give up on this. I can't. So, okay. But you ended up, like, at one point in a refugee camp in Malta. Like, there's like different scenarios in your life, but at some point you get to Iceland. And what happens when you get off that plane? Because like the instructions were like, get off the plane in Iceland because there's a stop over there, right? And just go out of the. It's just like, so what happens to you?
Exactly. It's like I actually didn't know where I was. It was because I wasn't going to Iceland. I didn't even knew Iceland's because at the time I couldn't speak any language except Somali. It was really hard to even know the signs of the airbirds, to be honest. So it was like I was going to Canada. I was translated there, and having like land in this country with no documents and like getting to airplane with a fake passport. Of course they have to stop you. But when they told me that I'm going to stay here and they called me social care, it was my first time seeing snow, because in Malta they don't have like snow and all that stuff. So I was like, oh, okay, where I am, and it was just no translation at all. But I was like, I'm at least with human, not like so I'm just gonna see like where it goes and what happens. But it wasn't easy as well, coming to a country where you just can't speak any language, you can't communicate. 2 years, I don't think I made any friends. I
Oh.
had to learn anything. Again, everything from language, culture. I never ever left anyone, like any community outside of Somali community. My whole life
Mhm.
I was with Somali community, and now just living with other people, completely different culture, different language. It was just like someone who was just born right now and has to
Mhm.
learn everything again.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was a challenge, but again, here we are.
Yeah, and you persevered again. I mean, you took a risk, and when you were, I guess, like the authorities in Iceland realize you're a child, and you're here, you don't speak the language. What was it that, like, you wanted when they were asking you, like, hey, if you're going to stay in Iceland, what can we do for you? How can we help you? What was it that you really wanted to get out of this experience if you were going to stay in this country?
I remember actually first when Utlanding, the Iceland immigration thing, when they had the interview with me, the last thing they asked me was before they decided whether to let me stay Iceland or not. They just asked me if Iceland accepts you to let you stay in Iceland, what would you like Iceland to do for you? And I was like,
Hmm.
give me education and a family. The rest I will do for myself.
Yeah.
And then that's where I get it. So I get a family to stay with, and I get the chance to go to school and to get education because I always wanted to learn. I had a father who always encouraged us for education, and I knew also like education, it will give me the opportunity to help myself first, and also to
Hmm.
uh, girls that I left back home. That was always what
Right.
was pushing me to go to keep going, because even though I saved for myself, all that thing that happened to me still is happening to so many girls. So each time I kind of start giving up exams or something, I was like, no, don't, Nishmo. Remember, what you went through. If you went through from Sahara, you can go through this exam. Uh,
Yeah.
the girl who is just the same age as you, who is back home and cannot go out that situation, that's the girl that you need to help. So get
Right.
education first, help yourself, grow your mind, so that you can help them back. So it was just like
Yeah.
something that can push me, to keep going
Yeah.
up.
Your motivation. And with the language, did you learn Icelandic fluently after? Because I mean, like, you're coming in from learning Somali to, I mean, knowing Somali only to, in Icelandic society with an Icelandic family. So how was
And
that?
it was a lot of challenge even living with Icelandic family,
Yeah.
because the different cultures, now I have to learn everything again. Um, so it was a challenge for us as well, but we kind of went over with it. Um, but I learned English first. I don't know why, because
Hmm.
the Grundschule that I started in the last year, it was just like they first started teaching me English because they didn't have Icelandic classes for foreigners. So
Okay.
they go just learn English with Icelandic, students. But in I but in Iceland language, we will start you later or something. So 6 months, first 6 months, I think I was just learning English.
Wow. Okay. That
Yeah,
is fascinating. And then how was it learning when you started to learn Icelandic?
it's really hard. It's very hard
Yeah.
language. For me now, sometimes when I think back, I was like, I don't know how I get through that book, like Madruma High School, when I was, I was like, because like seeing the language, I just never thought like I will graduate even from high school. So now,
Yeah.
now when I think back, all the books like psychology books and all the like Icelandic books that I had to read through all the courses I take, I'm like, how did I go through that? How did I go through all the exams? So I learned actually. It's hard, but when everything is hard in life. Even if you now want to go to Somalia and to learn our language, is hard. If I want
Yeah.
to learn your language, it's hard. But just if you just focus and put more time on it, and
Mhm.
like really, if you are dedicated to it, you can actually learn.
Yeah. Absolutely. That is true. It takes a lot of consistency.
Yeah.
and, And a lot of like, for me, it's been some tears of like just feeling so annoyed at myself and making so many mistakes. And
Yeah, it's like it's really hard language as well because I was learning French my high school, and I found French grammar more easier compared to Icelandic grammar. You know, it's really,
hmm
really, really hard language, but you just go through with it.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and
And regarding,
sorry,
hmm go
what
ahead.
were you saying?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's like for me, I was so hurried to graduate even quickly. I start like fully high school. I start 2017, but from 2014 to 16, I was just learning the language, and 1 year I
Yeah.
like from school. So like it's just like I wanted to graduate quickly. My teachers always had, when am I graduating? I'm taking all these classes, and they were like, slow down. This is not your language. You need to learn that. And I was like, is this the only language that's stopping me? I'm gonna get I'm gonna
Yes, that's right, girl.
oh my
Yeah,
God,
you're
yeah.
definitely you have that go-getter spirit. It was like, you know what? That's not enough to stand in my way. So, and you mentioned the culture, like the clashings of the culture, the combinings of the culture. Was there anything in Iceland, like the food? You know, you mentioned the weather, right? That was different, but like food or even the way that people interact here that is different than in Somalia.
Actually, yes. A few things that people do here might be rude back home, like here you have to look people in the eyes. I had to learn how to make eye contact. I just couldn't. When your parents are talking to you, if you look them in the eye, if you make eye contact with them, it's very rude. You have to look down when your
Oh
parents
wow.
here. And here, I remember my foster mom, like, here, if you're not looking people's eyes, it might mean like you're not interested in what they're saying, or you might not listening or something. And she's like, I was looking down and she was talking to me. And she's like, are you listening to me? And I was like, yes, I'm listening to you. And she's like, then look at me in the eye if you're listening to me. And I was like, oh my God. So I went to Google, like translating Somali and how to make eye contact with them. And I actually had to learn how to make eye contact,
Yeah.
with people again, like I was like, and the first, like,
Wow.
those who I was with at the time in my school probably think like, what is wrong with her? Like, so I went to Google and I was like, how to make eye contact. And they're like, you have to stare and look people. So the first was like, and people actually.
That's amazing.
I remember one day, this guy in my school, I was just looking at him, stare, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I literally thought I was making eye contact, but I was staring, so I didn't. It was. But finally, I think now I get it right. So I make eye contact with him. But yeah, it was kind of awkward in the beginning.
Yeah, absolutely. What about the food? Because there's some interesting Icelandic foods, that's for sure.
I didn't like the beginning of anything in the food except the Icelandic ketchup. The Icelandic
Okay.
ketchup. Yeah, that's the one I liked.
The
Uh,
lamb soup, yeah.
yeah, that's the one I liked. But later I just kind of got used to it. The rest, but first I was like, oh no, that actually was very difficult for me. Was on time. Like I'm in my room and they might call me a dinner and I might come after like 30 minutes or something. And they were so annoyed in the family. They were like, you have to be on. And I wasn't only late on the food, I was almost late about anything and everything. And it's like my dad here, he had been to Africa, so he kind of understand. Like he says, oh, Africa, I've been to Africa. They're a little bit they do, not all of them, but most of them it's like that. But my stepmom and they just don't understand my teachers and all that. So we have to be on time. You can't imagine how many times I was about to lose a job just because of that.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, but I can't remember, but timing was difficult for me.
Yeah. Okay. And did you have foods from Somalia that you missed that you introduced to your Icelandic family?
Yes, I like rice. Somali rice is like kind of fried it and really nice taste. And it's not good the way I cook because I just, when I was back home, I never cooked. But it's like I just went to YouTube and tried to watch it, and so I cooked for them like rice and sambusa, which they like actually. They like the rice so much, and the sambusa is kind of difficult, but I do make a few times, and they liked it. So the only thing I eat Somali food is rice. Now, even though I live in London right now, it's like all time I just eat rice. It's just like rice.
That's your favorite.
It's very easy to get fat. It's very easy to get fat from with it.
Okay, yeah. And plus it's really like satisfying too, you know, to eat rice. Like I like rice with coconut milk in it. It's just like has like this fluffy flavor. So I understand it. The only problem is if I make rice, I'll eat like the whole thing all at the same time. It's the whole pot. I'll just be sitting there and be like, this is so good. So yeah, I have to stay away from it sometimes. Yeah. In regards to your social platforms, so you are an activist. I mean, whether or not you call yourself that sometimes or not, but that is essentially what you're doing. You're raising awareness about FGM, about women and girls' rights, about violence, like all of these topics that a lot of people, especially younger people, I think are becoming more aware of, but don't always feel like they have the voice to really talk about it. Whereas like you've lived these things, you're coming from a different culture where, like you mentioned, a lot of it is normalized, and you took your experience and decided, I'm not just going to, like you mentioned, you've been motivated knowing that other people have been experiencing this, people even now, and you have a lot of followers on Facebook, like over 90,000 and over 30,000 on YouTube, but you're talking in Somali. And I'm wondering, what is the reaction of Somalis when they hear, you talking about these things that maybe they're not like comfortable talking about, like for instance, FGM, right? It's just something that happens, but people aren't necessarily going about like having their morning coffee talking about it or something. So what is the reaction from the people who watch your content?
It's like I always avoid to, like just how it's it to like when people see me like, oh, Najmo speaks child marriage or Najmo speaks FGM. I like to tackle any issue almost.
Okay.
Like most of the time I focus like almost I think everything related to like what Somali woman is facing, and what young people especially is facing, is something I tackle with all time. And now these last few months, actually, I was so much into women getting in politics and women involved into power, because we realized that in order to pass a lot of laws that will stop what is harming women, we need our women to be there and to be in power position. It's nice to raise awareness, but there are certain things that you can raise awareness, but it needs power to empower action. Like for example, passing a bill that is like, Somalia cannot be married under 18 years old. Anyone who rapes women should not be walking free and go to end up in jail. All that laws needs to pass, and in order to happen that, we need women in power position. So that's why like now I'm like more focused actually in the politics side, women getting campaigning now so much with and getting involved and connected with as well Somali women who are politicians, who are involved in politics, and some who are power position holder right now. So so if I come back to your question, actually, I was just saying all things I speak.
Yeah, that's great.
It's like people is different reaction. It's also different reaction from year to year. The first time I started, 2014, it was there's not so many Somali women who was out there at the time. There were only one woman who were speaking English, but for me, I went there and speak Somali language, and at the same time talk about things that they're not used to women to to talk about. And it's like first time you are a woman, it's haram, it's permitted in Islam, women voice to be heard out in public, so you need to stop this. That was like the most reaction I was getting it. And then from 2016 till 19, I was just getting out, like year to year. It's like sometimes they were like accusing me, oh, I'm not Muslim, I'm trying to promote other religions.
Wow.
I'm trying to take off hijab with Somali women, and then now they have no evidence of me focusing on, doing that. And then now it's like, oh, you are being sent it. Westerns are begging you doing this. Westerns are, they want you influence Somali women because you take away their culture and everything. But now in the last, I would say, this year and last year, they were like, oh, your ideas are great. Now we are, you are smarter than thousands of thousands man. Our country needs people like you. So it's like,
yeah, okay. It's been this evolution.
Yeah, it's like transforming from like you can't talk in public to where the country needs people like you.
Mm-hmm.
There's where, so imagine in the next 10 years where they will be. Besides that, now I'm really happy to see like there's a lot of young women are on social media right now discussing about all that kind of issues, and like going, like just coming to public, sharing their stories. I remember when I was starting my videos, I used to ask people like, can you share your story? What happened to you is really bad and you need to talk, you need to speak about it. If you stay silent, this will go on. And they were like, no, I can't. This will happen to me. And now the fact that I was like, okay, just tell me the story and I will tell to people. But now the fact that they are coming out and sharing, I was like, yes, this is what I needed for it. And I'm really happy each time I see, Somali woman is doing, like, coming to social media, I always support and say, yes, keep doing it. Because the more we have so much voice, the better we can do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So, and a lot of other young people are actually also now starting doing videos. But for me, it's like, what I like to do is just like, now I see these issues that few years ago you couldn't talk about, but now people are normalized and everyone is talking about it. So what is there any other things that have been ignored or people are scared to talk about? And it's like, open that door again,
Just when you thought you were comfortable, it's like, nope, we're gonna
There's like these things that people are not talking about today, which is Somali woman who wants to not have so much children, to get to there's not so many places they can go and get help with, and they can't speak public. There's like Somali young people to use things to protect the disease that they can transmit.
Like wearing condoms or things
all
like
that.
Yeah.
No one is not talking about that. So I'm like, now I'm tackling that. But I just didn't go out there and then talk about me. I create a character. It's just me, but I'm a man, So I get bird and I kind of edit my voice, and now you have to find a way to deliver the message without offending, So now, because now I know when if I go like this as a Najmo and talk about, now they're gonna say, oh, now again this is what she bring it, So I create another character who is his name is a man, and then I have a bird and everything, and I'm running for a president, and I say like, if you choose me as a president, because there is election is coming right now in the country, so I was like, if you choose me as a president, because I'm running for a president, I will give you free condoms and free order. I will build I will make easy access for Somali women who doesn't want to have children at all, or wanted to have like so many children. So you just have to create different characters to raise awareness of different things, way that you can approach, because some culture and communities is actually forbidden to talk certain things. So now I'm tackling that, and it's just like, it gets intense. And when people ask me, like, what are you to ask? Like, it's not me, it's Professor Greg.
It's not me.
See that? Let me just show you. That's my favorite character, actually. He's doing a great job. So fun. This is amazing. It's just like, So when they ask me in public and they are like, so now you are about to talk about all that stuff, I'm like, no, 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 that's not me. It's him. I will let him know. So this is me and him actually.
Oh wow. Okay. That'd be
Acting man and dressing like smart man, you know. So
yeah.
this is me, and I'm like, no, no, this is. So I don't answer any of his questions. When people ask me publicly about him, I was like, I will let him know that you have that question.
Oh my! If you could send it to me, I can put it up so
Yeah,
people can see it. Yeah.
yeah.
I love how you're using your creativity to be like, no, I can't. You have to stay in character at all times, right?
And I just his voice to a man. So anything that I know people that I don't want people to ask me in public,
Yeah.
I will just use him, you know. And when someone asks, I was like, oh, it's not me. But any question you have, just send it to me. I will tell him. He will answer for you.
That's
Yeah.
hilarious. I think I read somewhere also that you had a doll or a diagram or something to talk about FGM. Was that right? Like you were, yeah, because that was another thing. It's like men aren't seeing their wives' genitalia ever, right? And so it's like they have like kind of this no idea about the female reproductive organs or what it looks like on the outside. Like there's just total lack of knowledge. So can you talk a little bit about like coming up with this idea?
Yes, like, that comes to us well. Like always, I just look what people do in it and then decide to accept it. So I'm like gonna find other way. Also, like people haven't like that people should we should when you see things you can connect more compared to when you just hear, isn't it?
Right.
So I've seen a lot of girls are talking as FGM and I do as well, but I was like, is there any other way that I can approach to this issue? And I was like, okay, men, they have no idea what we went through. They can't even like smile. Most of like, you know, the lights are turned off when things are happening and they have no idea down there what's going on. So I was like, I need to visualize. I need something that they can really see because we need them to stand up with us because like this FGM is not something that caused by men. It's caused by women. And it's not like most of fathers, they don't agree to happen and they don't want. My dad, I heard like he left in the house that day. He didn't want to be around us. So it's something that actually even Somali men, they don't like women who are now last few years actually like they don't like women who have been breastfed. They prefer not, but still the mothers are doing it because the mother have been told like you are more you know, worthy and more like
so it's a value thing, right? Because you're wow.
So it's like, so I wanted this topic like men to stand up with us and to understand very well. So I show pictures. I was like, this is how it's been done. This is how it's been happened. And they would be shocking. They were like, we didn't know. They went through all this. I will never allow my daughter to happen this. And I got, it's like one of the video that 90% supporters were men and 10% only women maybe were supporting, but the rest they were against. They were like, how dare you show our private part to the man? So I most of the time I don't reply the comments so much. I like to promote the positive ones because each time I reply back to the comment, it comes to the top. So I always chance the positives and just leave the negatives down there
at the bottom.
Get it lost. So like they were so angry, they were really angry, but I understand because it's not something that they used to it. So for me it's like I wanted them something that they can see the pain we are going through. And it was art that was made and it was like from FGM1 to all the way when you give into birth, how it needs to, you know, the struggle and the pain you go through when you're giving a birth. And they were like, wow. And some of fathers, they even texted me and sent me and they were like, we're not going to allow my daughter to happen this.
Good.
Told me they actually divorced with his wife through them.
Wow. Yeah. Do what you got to do to save your kid, right? Like this is, and it's just so unfortunate that it's a brainwashing in essence, right? Like you're being taught that this is because you're, if I'm correct, you're whoever suitor who wants to marry your daughter has to pay a certain amount. So it's like if they've had FGM, maybe then that brings higher amount of money. Is that kind of what the idea is around it?
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like, yeah, and it's like the mothers, they don't hate their daughters, but it's just like
No.
they've been taught to this.
Yeah.
They, you know, in order for your daughter to be the perfect girl, she needs to be practiced this. But for me, I try also emotional way to approach the parents. You know, that we
Yeah.
ended up like, why, mom, are you hurting me? Like, why are you hurting me? A man that you don't even know if he will have me. He might divorce you. You know.
Yeah.
You destroyed my life and my whole future just for that man that you don't even know today.
Yeah.
So why are you hurting me? And that kind of like gets emotional approach to the parents.
Yeah, absolutely. You're
Yeah.
doing a great job of finding really unique ways to approach this topic that is obviously a tough, I mean, tough topics. It's not just one. There are multiple things happening here. And
Yeah, I love that there's a lot of like topics that the Professor Albrecht, the other version of me, the man's version of me, like there's a lot of topics that he's even approaching, like the political side. You know, it's like there's a lot of politicians who were part of the crime that happened 30 years in my country, and they were like alien, like clan leaders, and they destroyed people. And so since they are now running presidential as well, they never get in court or in justice all the people they killed. So the version of me, like the man version of me, he was like, you know, he's running for and you know, he's running for president as well. He's acting any current issues or situation that's happening. And then my friend were asking me questions from that, and he said, oh, all the problem you caused people and how many people you killed, have you ever asked them forgiveness? Like, no, I don't it's like I'm trying even to find the man version of me, also to approach like other issues, like those who are leaders. So it's just like you just have to find a way to raise awareness, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like talking out has somehow put you in danger? Meaning, like, are people threatened you because of this? Because they're, you know, your change is hard for a lot of people, especially when it's so ingrained like some of this. So how has that been for you in terms of, have you felt threatened or unsafe?
Yeah, I always felt threatened actually. I always got all kind of messages, but I just stopped for it. It was one that I got. It was this year actually, beginning of this year, I think. Yeah, it was beginning of this year in London. Actually,
Whoa.
The train I was getting in, the restaurant I was, the house, like.
Oh no.
Right. There was this topic I was campaigning for, and this girl who got raped. It was 2019, I think, February or March, that she got raped by 3 men. Yeah, they were 3 or 4, and then they gang raped her and killed her, and she was just 12 years old. And I was for her case for so long, and it was like I just didn't let it go, that case, you know. So I was constantly reminding people, and so 2 of the men get executed, but 1 was let it go, and I wanted that one also not to let it go. So I wanted for justice for that little girl.
Yeah.
Really very smart and hardworking. All her teachers shared what kind of student she was. You know, like she was a very lovely girl. Even the girl doesn't deserve to go through that. And so I was campaigning again, the man that was left to get executed as well. And then I get a lot of threatened by that. And then they were like, even they just say, you know, even if you are in London, don't think you're still safe. And one night I remember I came out and I was going home, and I take bus off, and I get a message says like, you took off that bus right now.
No.
So, and then don't think you're still safe. So you have to leave that out. So I couldn't campaign that girl for her anymore, you know. So I always got threatened actually, always, but you just don't stop for it. Some things could be very serious, but others could be to scare you, you know. So you don't know actually which one who's very serious and which one who's just want to scare you. So you just have to walk through it and ignore it. They don't exist.
Yeah, that's courageous. I mean, that's intense to just feel like, especially when someone is stalking you, in essence, is what they're doing, which is terrible. So
Yeah.
I hope you're able to stay safe, though, because that is, because like I mentioned, what you're doing is so important work, but at the same time, people feel threatened by change, which is so sad because it's not like you're asking for anything other than basic human rights and decency, right? Like this is, like this is the thing that is so strange to me when you really come down to what it is that you're talking about, which is treat me like an equal human being. That is it. I'm not asking for special treatment or anything else. Just stop hurting me. Stop treating me like as a woman I'm an inferior and basically at the mercy of society to do whatever they want with my body.
Yeah.
So yeah, are you planning to? I mean, you have your alter ego who is running for politics, but do you want to be a politician?
Um, Actually, good question because now I was in Istanbul, I was in Turkey almost like a month, and I was like around with few politicians and see how things they do and all that, and I was like, wow, I don't know if I want to get involved, but it's like in the future, yes, but I realized the more you get into politics, the less caring and love you have,
Mm,
the more you are interested in the game. It becomes like a business game, I
yep.
want to do this, I want to get that. So you kind of forget the whole reason behind it, like that there's millions of people that you really need to help, and there's a country that you need to help. So for me, I'm like, when I see some politicians and I'm like, oh my God, like I don't want to do, I want to do nothing with politics.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
understand.
it becomes like personal gain, and it becomes like
Hmm.
personal ambitions that you just want to achieve, and you forget like why do you want that
Yeah.
if you don't have a heart to help them? Like the few politicians that I've seen, I was talking more about people and country compared they were actually, and they were the one who's running for,
Hmm.
who,
And they're representing those people, right? So
yeah.
yeah.
So I was like more like these three children, the woman that and one of my friend, like he says actually, which I will never forget. He was like, Najmo, stay away with politics because you just can't. Why you are asking serious question and bring up a deal? He was like, here, like it's like how much you can make and how much how like it's
Hmm.
how you can get things that you want the way you want to be done. He was like, do me a favor, stay away from politics. And I'm like, do your mucho thing. That's what you're good at. And I was like, no, I'm not going to, because the country and people need someone who really want to help them, not like, I want this to do and that. But what do they want? You have to consider what they want as well.
Yeah.
So in the future, yes. But right now, what I'm interested in is to work around with politicians, to get more experience, to work with them, to be
Hmm.
friends with them, those who are involved in politics or those who are part of the government, to get to know them and just learn from them. So I'm not gonna run in politics without experience first, and I not anytime soon. I want to get more experience. I want to work around the human rights sectors, like just to increase my experience and help as much as I can before I become, because I think once you get into politics, you completely become someone else. I think
Yeah. It's
this is
another persona, right? Like it's another like kind of act you put on because I feel like you parts of yourself you can't be vulnerable like you would like a normal human being and stuff like that.
you cannot be vulnerable, and like one other things that I really need to learn right now is just I like when to listen when people give me a bit feedback and they were like, you are so honest, and he was like, if you want to get in politics, you have to
Yeah, that will. Which is so sad that we have to admit to that, right? It's just like,
yeah.
nope, that's not gonna work out.
Actually, yeah, this girl who's my friend, she was like, if you come to Somalia like this, Nishmo, and you just get into politics, you're gonna get killed. You're
Mm.
so naive and very honest. You have to leave that behind. She said that. And I was like, wow, okay.
When your story came out in Iceland, because like I mentioned, like I showed earlier, I have this paper of you. What was the reaction here about that?
In Iceland,
Yeah.
people were very supportive actually and very helpful, and like um even though like I those who I met, I haven't read the comments on the where they being
Yeah.
posted, but those who I met, they were like actually very supportive and really nice so far.
Yeah. Had people known about your story, like maybe your inner circle, but like when you were going to school or anything, was anybody aware that this is what you had endured?
Only the family I was living with,
Yeah.
but
Okay. So
yeah,
that must have been pretty shocking for some people then who might have like interacted with you, but like, what? This happened to her? Like that's intense.
yeah, I actually didn't tell people that much, and like I was just I think the first time I told I was Amnesty. I think first interview I did with Amnesty, it was that. Yeah, first few years I was just using Google Translate to talk to people, so there's not
Yeah.
so much to say. Yeah, but it was just but like in Iceland actually it's completely different, from where I came from. So um yeah, I don't know how they react on social media, but those who I met were really very supportive and
Yeah.
really nice. And I don't know, like there's few other issues that in Iceland, when I look right now, I think people are kind of not aware of it or ignoring it. That I was actually thinking to do documentary about it.
Mm.
Yeah, but yeah,
Okay. And you mentioned earlier, like your friend said, if you were to come to Somalia and get into politics, that wouldn't be so great. Meaning, like, because it's not some honest. Do you see yourself going back to Somalia? Is that like, yeah,
I'm very close now. I was in Turkey, and when you're in Turkey, like you almost see like these people going back and forth because there's a direct flight from Istanbul to Somalia,
mm,
and like um. But I was actually very close to go right now because, well, my friend she said to me like, you come to Somalia, you stay 2 weeks, and your security are provided. You stay the hotel
mm,
or the government area, and you just go to events that the security are very tight and you stay that.
wow,
She says, if you want to say, I want to say hi to my family, I want to say hi to my aunt, it's like, you are going to get killed. So she was like, you just only stay the places that we know.
wow,
And I said, then what's the point? Not going
yeah,
if I cannot go to places I want where I grew up, all that. And she
yeah,
said, no. But if you want to stay 2 to 3 weeks, I can provide that. Where you stay, your security and everything, I can help you with that. And I was like, and then I was just thinking about it and considering. And then these 6 boys who get killed last Friday, not this
mm,
Friday before, they were like very educated boys, came from different just diaspora. They went back home, and one guy he was just working Somali embassy in Ethiopia, and he landed Mogadishu, the capital of Somalia, just that day.
yeah,
And at night they were celebrating, coming together, eating ice cream, and they were being bombed. So 6, 7 guys who were educated, playing very important role for our country, just died one night. It was just 1 week ago. So, and then that was like, wow.
wow,
And another few people advised me. They were like, it's election time, it's very bad. Don't come right now. But I really want to go. It's not safe, but I want to go because, like, um, because like I want to, if it's like really nice to see what is going on there, because I've been left like since 2011. I never went back,
yeah,
and now the work I do is actually related to, it's very important to be informed the women, struggles and everything that Somali woman is going through, and to see what has changed, what haven't changed. But I was like, I don't know really. Each time it's scary, but I do want to
yeah,
go. I actually
okay,
want to work in Africa and back home, and there is like where I wanted to work and help people.
yeah, okay. Well, when you do decide to go back, I wish you all the safety in the world and that like it is a
Yeah,
stress-free experience because that sounds intense. I'm not gonna, sugarcoat. Like, I already feel a little anxious for you when you're talking about like, oh, you come, but you have to stay here where I can keep you secure. And it's just like,
yeah,
what? Wow. Okay.
But for me, I just thought like if I'm wearing a mask, maybe no one will recognize.
Yeah.
My sister, I was with her now in Istanbul. She was like, um, uh, she said, okay, if you don't think people will recognize you through mask, he was like, try it wearing a mask in Istanbul and see if anyone stops you. And people still recognize me through mask.
Mm-hmm.
And
You
like
might have to
someone
change your hair too, because that's another giveaway.
I
So,
was covering, like I was wearing hijab now in
okay. So people still
wearing
recognize
a
you.
mask
Wow. What?
and wearing that hijab with me, still they just cannot recognize you.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, girl, that's intense. Okay. Please be safe.
Yeah.
We need you to be around it.
I even tried to joke. Like my sister was like, she did not want me go back. She was like, you
Yeah.
know what? I don't want sadness. Yeah, I don't want like
Yeah.
our dad died almost like more than 10 years ago, and we still did not get over with it. So if you want to die, I don't know you. Just leave it.
Aww.
Like, and she was like, okay, try to change your voice, and we're gonna go a restaurant there. A lot of Somalians. I was like, okay, I wear mask and everything, and I changed my voice. But still, people can't. Yeah, so she was like and I was doing a few things, and I was like, oh, do you want to go with the video with us? And she was like, no, I have a freedom. She says, I have a freedom. I go to Somalia wherever I want, so I don't want to end up like I'm not going to be part of it. So yeah.
Yeah.
If I wish, 2014, before I start the video, I wish I was smart enough to close my face. I wish, but I didn't. So now I could just go to Somalia or go to really dangerous areas and for me, like now I have so much interest in stories. I think stories is like very powerful, and we can learn a lot from it. At the same time, we can encourage others to speak out, and at the same time, we can raise awareness things that's really happening. So just stories can do a lot of things. So what I want to do is just go back home and collect a lot of stories. There's so many stories that people are staying silent with it because scared or because they don't have the platform. So I wish I can just go small towns. Like we know what's happening in the big cities, but we don't know what's happening in the small towns that don't have internet and don't have TV and there's no like a radio. What is happening there? I'm really more interested in our stories. Like in the last few months, I was more focused on stories. So one of the reasons I want to also go back is like do documentaries and stories. That's what I'm getting more interested in.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good luck with that for sure. I hope there is opportunity for you to do it safely. And regarding your family, though, because you mentioned, you wouldn't be able to go back and see your family. Has your family reacted or sent you, how they felt about what you've been sharing, or even said like, has your mother ever responded to when you had that campaign about why are you hurting me, mom? Like, just what has been the response from them?
Actually, like for my mom, she was never supportive for things I do. She just thinks I'm way out of the line.
Wow. Okay.
Now, I would say like this year, me and her are getting along with, and now I realize like she is now also kind of getting, kind of like realizing things I'm talking about is actually very important,
Yeah.
But there's few things that she sometimes says you cannot speak about it. Like there was this girl who had been raped in Mogadishu, and they raped and then they throw it out of the window, and it was like hotel, so it's like and then she died there. So the hotel was close to the area that my mom lives, so she knew that I would be talking about it. I even made video about it, and then she called me and says, you cannot talk about it because it's our area and people know each other. So once they see that you are into them, I'm afraid for my daughters and for my life. So you cannot talk about it. So the video I recorded, put it on my YouTube, so I have to unlist it. And now like to hide it, I made it private. Wow. So that only 2 people or 3 people watched, and it's just immediately she gave me a call, and then I have to unlist and then made it a private. So I couldn't talk about it, and everyone was sending me, this happened, why are you not talking about it? I couldn't talk about it because my mom is she was like, it's our town and everyone knows each other. So she was like, you cannot, I'm afraid for my life. So she's now like kind of, the only thing now she against is my hair that's not covered.
Okay.
Country, and you have to cover your hair. But she says anything else you're talking about it is fine, but do not talk about the security side, because it's like terrorist group that are, who's doing something to Somalia. It's just like you cannot talk about the secure side, and you have to cover your hair. That's the two things that me and her we don't get along with. But now, like, and I realized actually what I was doing. I was also waving a bath for my sisters as well. Now, a few things that I couldn't do when I was with my mom, now my sisters can do, and my mom is getting there. She's letting them do it.
Good, yeah.
Now when I see like my sister says, "Oh, we're doing this and that," and mom is okay with it, I was like, yes, that's what I was wishing when I was your age, guys. But now I'm glad that you have.
It's like, yeah, I missed out, but happy that it's evolved. That is, yeah. I'm glad that it's little by little your mom is coming along, because that's really hard to, especially when you feel like, or she feels like, your actions are endangering her. But at the same time, a lot of that probably comes from the anxiety of knowing that you're this public figure. Like there's a whole lot probably mixed in there. And like you were saying, she wasn't always very supportive either. So
yeah. And like, she always cared for it. Now when I said I'm coming to Mogadishu, she was like, please don't come around my house. She was like, we can meet you and see you where you are, but you're not gonna come around my area because we're not safe. If you want to, you come to this door, we're not safe. So she was like, come to Mogadishu if you want, but we will come and see you where you are, but you're not gonna come here because you are going back, but we have to live here. So she was like, don't come around my house.
Yeah.
For her own security, for her own life. So
that is the reality of some places, and I think like in Iceland, it's so, or in the United States, it's for many people, it's so easy to forget that there are a lot of people who live in danger of their lives every day. Like this is, and whether it's for speaking out, I mean, we talk about Black Lives Matter in the United States, right? You have people who there are being targeted, but it's not the same extent. Meaning like what you're talking about in Somalia, this is you on the internet, like, and all of a sudden your parents your mother's in danger, and it's just like, this is intense, like.
Yeah, it's very intense, really. Yeah, and it actually makes completely sense. Like she's not saying that don't come around my house because I don't want to. She's just saying I'm afraid for my life, so don't come around me because of their own safety.
Yeah,
so
precaution. Yeah. Okay. On a lighter note, in regards to school, so you're in school in the UK, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what are you studying in school?
I'm going there university. I'm studying international business management.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, it's my second year.
Okay. So got a little ways to go, but you're getting through it, and you have and you have on your social platforms the mid show.
Yeah.
And so for people who are interested, just to understand, what the mid show is and how they can potentially support it, could you just explain a bit about it?
Mid show is like a platform that advocates, for women and girls' rights, but also gives a platform to raise awareness in issues that young people face. There's a lot of young boys who are victim as well. If you just look at it, women are more victim, but also young boys are victim actually, and we kind of like need to raise awareness both sides.
Yeah.
I sometimes avoid to create a war between men and women because we share this country and we are same society, and we don't want to go to war between men and women. We want to equal rights for everyone, but at the same time not creating hate between them. So
right.
But they sometimes accuse me I am more into women's side, but I also make sure that they are being also cared and loved, and like so it's like and it's online. It's my page and my YouTube most of the time, and we do have Instagram. Anyone who wants to support, they can go to the page site, and it have like where they can click it and support wherever they want to support.
They can donate a certain amount or something like that.
Donation. It's also like we need support with the, it's not only donation. Actually, what we need support with documentaries. Right now there's few documentaries that I want to do, and I'm looking someone who can sponsor, like who can help me with the documentary. So it could be like cameras or anyone who's stories, all that stuff. So they can contact me as well if they have anything specific that they want to help with, and we can discuss with it. So yeah, in the last few months, even though Corona came this year, I was more focusing to make studio for me.
Nice.
And then Corona came between it, so it's that I will just have to pause it and do it in the future.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll have all your information about that in the description box, and then for people who are listening on the audio and podcast in the show notes, so that people can get in contact with you if they want to donate monetarily or figure out how they can collaborate with you. I will definitely have all that information available. But my last question for you is one that I ask everybody, and that is, what is your favorite Icelandic word or phrase?
The favorite word, Icelandic.
Or phrase, yeah.
Oh, okay. It's like yo.
Yeah, you'd say yes.
It's like yo. I even use when I'm not with Icelanders, actually. It's like very nice. It's like you can boss yo.
Okay, nice and simple, but also like effective, because you can.
It's actually a fancy word for me. If you ask me, it's like yo.
Yeah, you do the inhale thing.
Yeah, that's like the word I actually like the most. But yeah, anyway, thank you for having me as well, and you're doing a great job as well. I already told you that. Keep doing what you're doing. It's really amazing and nice, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. It's my absolute pleasure. And like I'd mentioned, it is an honor to have you really just your story, and also how you've taken the things that you've gone to and put them into a positive space for helping others, I think is just amazing and awe-inspiring. And I'm really hoping that you are able to stay safe, because like I mentioned, you're so important for this movement, not just in Somalia, but I think in many places in the world, and showing the power of your platform and your voice, that we all have the potential to influence people, and you're using your influence in such a powerful way. And so I just appreciate that as a person admiring from afar. So thank you.
Thank you. Actually, the freedom I have in Iceland and the equality I do have in Iceland. There is Icelandic women who fought for it 100 years ago. She might not do it today, but she made it make sure, like to wave them, to kind of wave the path for Icelandic women to have the equality and the freedom they have today. So when it comes to that time to Somalia, I might not be alive, but at least there is a Somali woman who will enjoy that, and that's the things that can push you forwards. Like, yes, I might not get that in my country right now, but in the future, there are Somali girls who are going to get that. So,
absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your time.